remove the element of fear and no confidence. There is always a place for someone. Please, no shortcuts. Don't try to deceive, cheat. Be honest with the client. That honesty will run you a long way.
Hello, everyone. We have today with us second generation lawyer, advocate Rohan Janardhanan. He has his experiences to share with you, and you have to understand that the learning process is long. So, I would love to hear Sir's introduction for himself and how he has made a name for himself and his family as well. Please, sir, floor is all yours.
Good afternoon. My name is Advocate Rohan Janardhanan. I'm a second-gen lawyer. I've been practicing actively in India. I have a total of 21 years of experience after passing out law. I have split my experiences between Dubai and India. So I have done common law and non-common law work, which is in shipping. My expertise are in shipping, admiralty, marine insurance, and to a large extent in general litigation work as well, which is all surrounding shipping. But I would like to say that shipping is my first love, and then comes everything else. So thank you for having me on the show.
Most welcome, sir. Thank you so much for agreeing
Pleasure
to.
is entirely mine. Thank you.
So how did you decide to become a lawyer? What prompted you? And what kind of family support did you get? We would love to hear the story.
So the introduction is, my father is a first generation lawyer. We are originally from agriculturists. My father is an agriculturist. My grandfather was agriculturist in Kerala. My father was a very ambitious gentleman who came down in the 1970s to establish his practice here. He started his practice in Mumbai, and due to circumstances and lack of choices and guidance, he decided to take up criminal. So he's an astute criminal lawyer. He has 50 plus years of experience. He was the former Advocate General of Maharashtra for a tenure between 1998 to 2004. And he's done a lot of work. So I would like to actually tell you the first attribute is to him. He is my first guru. So my younger days, I have seen him arguing in courts. The days we had school holidays, he would take us to court, right from district court, magistrates court, high court. It was great to see him argue, because when you see him as a father at home and when he's a lawyer, it's a different persona and personality. That is something which I inscribed and I doted on. He did give me the option to choose whatever career I wanted. But ultimately, when I zoomed down and I saw the options that are available, I chose law, which is of great interest. He also ensured that I have my own identity and I should not be overshadowed by his identity, because it's like an oak tree. Nothing can grow below an oak tree. You have to find your own footing. He then introduced me to a very close friend of his, Mr. S. Venkateshwaran, who's popularly known as Menki. He's not there anymore. He's passed away, sadly. And I joined law. Second year of law, I started interning with him. That was the best experience that I've had. His tutelage, what he put me through. So grassroots level, you need to begin in grassroots level. It is very important for lawyers, young lawyers, to understand you have to start from grassroots level. I had to do a lot of filings. I had to do a lot of photocopy work. I had to do a lot of stitching. Nothing comes over that. You do not get briefs to argue immediately. You have to do the scratch work. That is something which is very important for youngsters to understand. And he encouraged me to go abroad and do my master's. I did my master's in Cardiff University, UK, for a year. That is 9 months of studying and an exam, and then 3 months of dissertation. And then I spent time with another doyen in law who's based in Dubai, Mr. C. Chakradharan. I spent quite a bit of time with him in Dubai and London, and he gave me an opportunity to have a brief internship with his firm in Dubai. And then so on, so just fate, I got a good job. Dubai was its peak, it was buzzing, the construction activity, people were zooming in. And then I spent good 9-10 years there, and then decided to come back to India.
So you have practically gone around the globe and came back to serve our own society. So your story is so inspiring, but you moved to maritime industry. What was the motivation over there? What motivated you to find such an industry which is absolutely new to at least Indian scenario? So how is that practice going on in India, and what motivates you to keep on going for the same industry work?
You see, India has always been into trade, right from the time, if you go back into history, if you see the Dutch, if you see the British, you see the Portuguese, for different reasons they came to India. So maritime has always been a part, the huge coastal lines what India has on both East Coast and West Coast. Extremely important geographically, as a business capital, let me tell you about Mumbai. Mumbai used to be a very big shipping hub. And until 2017, when the new codified law came, Bombay was today's Bombay High Court was one of the largest popular high courts for arresting vessels. And my boss at that point of time, Mr. S. Venkateshwaran, was the lead lawyer, a designated senior counsel. So we have seen arrests and releases, on various contentious matters in Bombay. It is only after 2017, after the law has been codified, each high court has been given its powers, which is why work has dwindled to a larger extent. But still, Bombay is, and I believe now Gujarat, because a lot of work has moved to Gujarat, Admiralty work has moved. But Gujarat High Court has the expertise. We do get a lot of instructions to go up to Gujarat. So maritime is a very niche field. Coming back to your question, maritime law is about arresting ships because there is arrest. The understanding of maritime law is very niche. It's a very small area, practice area, which has gathered its niche in Mumbai and has spread throughout. The interest about it is, I have mentioned about my father. I did not want to be overshadowed with his identity. So he encouraged me on something, on a new area, which is going to be there for a longer time, you see, because you need to focus. Now, there are still new niche areas that are coming, right? But shipping is always going to be there. India has always traditionally been a shipping hub. Shipping has always been active. And the exposure of what I received during my tutelage and during my work experience with the chambers of Sir S. Venkateshwaran was massive, huge impact. And his encouragement and blessings, I chose the maritime industry and decided to still continue with it.
Sir, I would move forward and like to ask on similar lines that you chose such a niche area. How do you see that your firm, Rex Legalis, is taking this forward in the new world? Why I'm saying is because we are becoming more and more global rather than just being local. So you already are having exposures in Dubai, London, and you have offices there. How are you promoting it for bigger picture? And how is it that a new entrant, if he or she wants to enter such a niche field, what should they focus on? We would love to hear about your firm and the ways you nurture these new minds, new brains, and new entrants in the field.
So you see, you need to do a lot of reading and research in maritime. It is not something which is off the book or off shelf. A lot of it has to research from the Admiralty course being set up in India. So you have to go back into history. There are a lot of case laws. One of the most important ones are MV Elizabeth, which is always referred to, in case of huge disputes or any important judgments that are there. For new enthusiasts, what they need to understand is they need to come and understand the essence of shipping. For those who can afford to and who have the opportunity, I would suggest to go abroad and do a master's course at least for a year and then come back. But once they come back, they need to get into an arena where they are exposed. See, you also need to understand that along with shipping, you need to know the civil procedures. You cannot forget them because, the procedural law doesn't change when it comes up to Admiralty. So first 2 years are about learning everything. You need to go to lower courts. You need to understand how lower courts work. Not necessarily criminal, they could be civil courts also, right? Because every time there is a change in the pecuniary jurisdiction, matters move from high court to city civil court. So first 2 years, I would suggest that they spend a lot of time in lower courts, understanding practice, appearing themselves, gaining the confidence. Because if you want to gain confidence, no better place than the lower courts. And then after 2 years of understanding the system, then grow a niche. But they should be able to understand. You cannot do construction and then think you can jump into shipping. Yeah. So that inclination has to be there. So they have to read and they have to understand the transcripts of how Admiralty law works.
So, sir, how is Rex Legalis promoting this particular niche?
Oh.
Why I'm asking, sir, is that if there is a first generation lawyer and they are interested, but they do not know the ways, would you like to elaborate a little bit on how your firm is working towards nurturing this niche field for yourself and for others as well?
Sure. So we do a lot of internships in a year. And we encourage juniors to come and first, I encourage them to read the books on Admiralty law. I encourage them to write articles so that I am able to get their focus and their ability to express in writing. You see, understanding the law is one thing and ability to express is very different. Interns have to be open, or first-gen lawyers have to be open to writing articles and gathering information, a lot of research, because law is evolving every day. One must understand that. And research and keeping yourself updated is most important. They have to be focused. So when interns come to us, we encourage them to first read What we also have is a mock-up session on Saturdays where I ask questions. I give them certain live cases which are going on, where an opinion is asked or where an advice is asked for a situation. Because situations arise. I mean, shipping is 24 hours. Situation can arise at 2 o'clock in the morning and they need a solution on a high sea issue or a collision issue, or if it is a bunker issue, or if it is a issue where, vessel has been arrested for some reason where the owners are not aware. So live cases I give them. I give them pointers. I ask them to research and come and understand. The research part is most important. And then if they're interested, there are people who have interned with us and have continued to work with us today. And we are continuing to expand. We also attend a lot of conferences. I personally attend a lot of conferences. I make representations on how law is evolving in India, because most of our clients are overseas. You do have local clients, but clients are overseas because shipping is a global phenomenon. An owner sitting in Cyprus may have his vessel not under his direct control, but under a third charter party or a fourth charter party in China or in India or in Mundra, where there's an burning issue that arises. And then trying to identify what is the trouble. Research is very important. You also have to have a very good investigative niche within yourself. That comes with a lot of research, a lot of investigation. When you look for judgments, when you research on topics, you will grow it then automatically.
Amazing, sir. So there is a lot of international law as well, which is involved in this particular thing. As you said, that you have to check the global phenomenon and everything happening around this shipment industry, especially. How different was your experience when you moved from here to do your master's, and how do you see it nurtured you in a manner that you are right now, and the kind of exposure you got? We would love our learners to understand, even if they get any chance to go out, how much exposure will they get? We would love to hear that aspect also from your side.
So the most important thing is choosing a very good university. That is the most important thing, because what I've seen is, even when I visit London, I meet youngsters, a lot of Indian students who are studying. Most of them dream about choosing a wrong university and they have already paid their money. So the first important thing is, I did my research, I did my university. I spoke to my seniors who had gone to other universities. I took their advice and tips, and I did speak to my boss, because my boss was a visiting professor in various universities. So for youngsters, choosing the right university is good. Just going to the UK or going to Singapore doesn't achieve. You have to be in the right place at the right time. That is the most important thing. Second thing is, it's a different world. You're independent, right? I'm sure a lot of youngsters today are very independent, but when I went in 2003, I was not very independent. Things were available very easily at home. Mummy is there for everything. The first night I landed up in my university hostel, I went hungry. There was no mummy or daddy to give food. Yeah, it's not like here you just walk down, you can eat whatever you want. Nothing is available. Then second day I made my trek. So you get a very good exposure on being independent. Life is very different abroad. You have to work part-time. I have worked part-time. Like, I had to work as a waiter. I could not work in McDonald's for more than a day. So you have to be prepared to earn the additional income. What is most important, you will understand the time that has to be apportioned. You have to have a balance. You see, the university is a place where they don't provide for you. You go there, they'll give you bullet points. You go research and come back to them. So the research skill sets improve drastically. Exams are not like here. You have, like, I think students in GLC, my days when I was in GLC, you depend upon Jabwala and you answer everything from there. That's not going to work abroad. You have to spend a lot of time. Today, at least, you have computers, a lot of exposure for youngsters. But when I was there, I had to go to the library. We used to all spend time in the library, go there, research independently, look at case laws. Because you see, we still depend upon English case laws in India. English case laws are umpteen, and there is no lack of it, because Admiralty law in England has been there since 1800s or even beyond. So law has evolved. The evolution of the law, Admiralty, the trade ability, marine insurance, various topics are there, very niche areas. Research ability goes up. And your understanding of the world changes. You need to go out at some point of time to have an understanding, better understanding, how people deal with issues. You're a lawyer. You have to be a problem solver. You cannot go and give the client another 100 problems. You can find a solution. Ability to find solution is your biggest niche. That's the biggest exposure what I got, that I've imbibed myself after living there.
So, sir, do you think the post-graduation which you did and the kind of exposure you got in London and then Dubai, and then you decided to come back after 10 years to India, how has this experience and your exposure helped you in winning cases and catering to clients as diligently as possible, though almost everyone wants to do that. But how has it enhanced your capability? Other than doing a lot of reading and research, there must be some other aspects also to it, which you have learned and they have helped you in this kind of exposure.
See, the exposure also evolves in shaping up your character, right? So it also shows you how different people from different countries behave, your exposure to them. Lawyers from different countries I used to meet, yeah. And there was a gentleman who was there from Malaysia who was a senior commander. The government of Malaysia had sent him to study. So when you interact with people of different nature, their understanding of the law, Kuala Lumpur or Malaysia, they also have admiralty laws. They also have a lot of admiralty work, and a lot of it is again English-based law. Singapore, similarly. So we do a lot of Singapore related work, of course, with local general councils. But you see, the whole idea in going abroad and studying is developing connects, developing contacts. You have to also understand it's not about being only bookish knowledge. Practicality. How do you communicate? How do you dress up in conferences? How do you manage to sell yourself? How do you solicit clients? How do you solicit people? That's ultimately how you have to be. Work comes, but you have to be very good in your presentation skills. You have to be very good in your knowledge. So if you ask me, I have clients who may be based in India, but they have offices in Singapore, Dubai for tax reasons. And advisory is done from here principally because they are all trading in India. So, you should be able to adapt and give the client a quick solution. What client needs is a quick fix solution, which is also commercially viable. So, when you travel and when you go abroad and you interact with a lot of people in conferences, your exposure increases. That exposure is very important.
Practically, you have explained this in terms which are very comprehensible. But again, I will come back to this issue because there are many learners who time and again come to us or to their mentors and professors that we don't get practical exposure, we don't get law firms who will give us even internships. Paid or unpaid is not the issue, but how do you suggest that these people, let's say they cannot immediately go for masters or have an international exposure, not everyone has same privileges as you also said. So sir, how do you suggest that a new person, new entrant in this particular field of law should reach out to people? What kind of skills they should develop, and how should they be able to reach out to seniors like you and others who are practicing in different niches? Because sir, people are absolutely scared, as in this is a new field, how will I go, why will they listen to me, I haven't done nothing in life. So how do you propose they should be doing it? We would love to hear that aspect as well.
First essence for youngsters is to get the fear out of them. The moment the element of fear sets in, they defeat their own purpose. Everybody has an opportunity somewhere in this world. They need to have a positive mindset. I'll give you an example. If someone writes to me, I have had interns who met me probably on a conference whom I don't remember, exchange cards, and then they connected on LinkedIn and wrote to me. Not necessarily every person may pay attention to every email or may have the same thought. It is very competitive, I agree. But what you have to have most important is if you are able to show your moot court skills, if you're showing your article skills during your university, during your college days, that is important. That is something what people will actually look at. More than moot court, I think it is the ability to present articles, their research ability. Those are the questions, those are the answers which will help them grow and achieve what they want. It is difficult. It is not easy. There are people who come for references also, but it is not necessary every reference can lead to this. It is very competitive, but you have to keep trying at it. And it is not necessary that you have to go abroad. Going abroad was a privilege for me. God is kind enough to me. I had the exposure. But there are also successful lawyers who have not gone abroad and done well here. So, you should attend conferences, at least online conferences. There are so many judges. There are so many conferences which are there online, which are free for students. I do not know how many of them actually take inclination, interest, and go and attend that. They are free, so you don't need to pay. Internet is available. Everybody has time for social media. I think they should take some time off and invest in themselves. Yeah, so investment is very important. Second, what I've noticed when people come is generally people think law firms are like brands. Law firms are not brands. They are their own niche and field. Youngsters should pick up what they like first, then try at it. There will be an opportunity that arises. So you can't chicken down or you can't slow down. See, in shipping, there are also in-house opportunities. A lot of shipping companies hire young lawyers, recruit them on dealing with claims, which is a dry part of shipping. Yeah. That is something what youngsters should also try and then get into litigation. But litigation is a very slow process. Patience, they have to be patient. Some firms may not pay big salaries in the beginning, may put them through tests, rigorous them. put them through, and then if they are able to breach the benchmark, the trust is established, and then they grow. So the patience is extremely required. It also happens that people come from out of Bombay, for example, and they are not able to survive. That happens very often. But they can also go and explore local commercial courts. You see, local commercial courts under the Commercial Court Act are given a lot of power. Arbitrations are there. So, it could be in shipping arbitration. It could be a simple arbitration, which for a recovery of money, or it could be a multi-judge arbitration also. So don't give up. You have to take off the fear and the lack of confidence. You have to work. Your formative years in your university has to be displayed when you're ready to come out. At least the last 3 years. Apply for internships. Try, keep trying. There will be someone, whether small or big. You see, the first internship is difficult. Once you're able to crack that, you will be able to get others.
So thank you so much for such motivational aspect of it, because usually people get scared in the very start. Talking about scared or facing our own challenges, everyone loves to win. You have won several cases, but you may have lost some. So how did you cope with that particular loss, and what did you learn? If you can name any cases, if possible. Other than that, just the reference to how you learned from that losing case, or there may be any reason. There is not necessary that you'll always be winning. And so second question in addition to that, when you lose even the case or anything, how do you again motivate yourself to go ahead and do twice as what you have done already to win the next case or the same case in a different court? How do you pick up yourself and then run for it again?
Success is measured not only by winning, it is also by number of cases you lost, because you learn from that. And there cannot be any successful lawyer who has not lost, who has only won cases there. There are people who lose as well. That is usually in the formative years. But what you need to make sure is you do not lose the case on technical backgrounds. You need to cover yourself on that. So you need to be very strong on procedure. Procedural laws should not lapse. It should not be due to condonation of delay due to time or anything. But otherwise, yes, I have lost. There are matters which we have lost, some matters which we lost in an appeal we won. I would not like to name anything for the purpose of confidentiality. But yes, what happens is there are cases where the battle may have been lost, but the war has been won by me. The ultimate relief, yes. And I can give you the name of one such matter in Gujarat where we were representing the vessel owners. And they were carrying genetic modified soya, which was prohibited at that point of time by the government of India. And the customs seized the vessel. And the prosecution was very difficult because customs have their own way of investigation, right? They obviously will not tell. And the vessel owner with a vessel stuck full of cargo has already started other issues because, expenses are going up on the vessel owner. He has other charter parties to fulfill because he was supposed to discharge this cargo and take on new cargo. So there's breach of contract, multiple layer of issues which we had to face. And the commissioner was very difficult. He rejected our provisional release. The owner was disappointed. We had to go to court, fight it out in court. Then we got the vessel released. Compliance was done. Part of the cargo was permitted to load it. Part of it was sent back to port of load where it was loaded, went back, complied. And then at that stage of adjudication, I appeared before the additional commissioner. We showed the layers. So you see, yet again, investigation is very important. Research is very important. I had to research on case laws. My team was there. We researched on case laws. I have a good team. Research on a lot of case laws, which helped us. Investigation in the case itself. So the owner had subletted to another charterer. There were multiple layers of charter party. And the final charterer has taken this cargo on board at his risk. The owner's representative, who's the captain of the vessel, has stated all that in his report. So all that research takes time, but we were ultimately able to win the case. And there are no fine and penalty on the vessel. Otherwise, fine and penalty can be huge. The best thing what you can do is your research is sound. And law, as I told you, is evolving. So there will be some case in the Supreme Court in some year that would have dealt with this issue. And you bring that to the attention. See, it is not necessarily always the authority who investigates is right. They have their own purpose of investigation. But you should be built in such a way to counter that, which is where your talent and art is, which is where you have to grow your skill sets. This is especially for young lawyers.
This is how you set yourself apart.
There are cases where we lose and I do get upset, but what I have to understand is that I have done my best. If I have not done my best, I would not take up the matter. So we pick and choose our matters. There are times we lose, but then the client has trust in us. There is always an appeal up to a certain extent, so it is not a problem. We fight it out. We file appeals, we fight it out. Sometimes we lose those appeals and we go to the High Court, we fight it out. Different strategies will be evolving. Any matter that is lost, my suggestion is come fresh in the morning and read it. Don't read it on the same day that it has happened. You have to have a fresh pair of eyes and some solution will be there.
Wow. So, sir, you are absolutely a positivity and motivational hub, I would say.
You have to be positive. You have to keep yourself positive.
Sir, keeping that in mind, what are your plans for your firm now? How are you going to expand? And what are your, let's say, plans for maybe 10, 20, 50 years, whatever? Because you must be planning, as you are so motivated to do such a niche work. How are you planning to take it ahead?
So we are in the process of rebranding ourselves, and we are in the process of expanding from what team we have. We are expecting a lot of work, trading work. I mean, shipping is growing, yeah. Trade is always going to be a little bit of up and down. See, if it is going up, we are into advisory work. If it is going down, litigation increases. That's the economy. That's the way we have understood it. That's what I have seen and observed. And there will be issues. So, today when the market is down, issues will come up after 1 or 2 years. We are retained on advising a lot of clients whom we continuously continue to advise. And their business is what we understand, where they're coming from. So coming back to your question, we are in the process of expanding. We are going to expand rapidly, say in the next 6 to 8 months. We are looking for young, fresh blood who are interested in joining us with a positive mind. And the most important thing is they should work as a team. Team spirit is most important, because otherwise it's not possible to handle such kind of voluminous matters alone.
Wow, sir. So young bloods, young entrants have an opportunity of reaching out
Definitely.
to you and
Definitely.
learning that particular niche.
Absolutely.
I'll stretch a little bit on this particular aspect. So when you plan on going global, what kind of collaborations do you do? Let's say if firm is growing, you are opening offices in certain places. What do you see first? Is it the location, or is it the proximity to certain courts, or is it where you can get major clients? Why I'm asking, sir, is most of the times what happens is when a person is applying for internship or even for a job, they are very much like in Mumbai also, as you said, that people have problems coping with the space because they have to travel a lot. So when you are doing it as the person who heads the firm, what motivates that particular kind of process?
It is generally the proximity to court and the business hub.
Okay.
These two factors are important, because you see, Bombay High Court, there have been a lot of proposals that they will be moving to BKC. BKC today is the financial hub in Bombay. Bankers, all departments from bank, because we do a lot of customs work. So we have to move between Navasheva and the old custom house or the airport. So that is something which is unavoidable. But then the government has been very great. They allow personal hearings on the computer. All those flexibilities are offered by the government under the leadership of the great Prime Minister. So we too travel to meet clients. We are not going global. We are going to be expanding in India, but we have a good relationship or best friends relationship with firms in different jurisdictions. So there's a lot of cross-border work. So generally what happens is the clients approach us or their solicitors approach us, and they prefer to do it through their solicitor because things are more streamlined and we are more comfortable as well.
So, sir, you being such a busy lawyer and in such a niche, what do you do in your leisure time, or how do you spend your time when you're not only thinking about law?
See, I tried my hand in golf, but then COVID came and spoiled that. I hope to try my hand again. Spend time with my family. I have 2 daughters, one wife. My parents are there. My father is almost retired. My mom is a retired school teacher. We spend a lot of time together. I do have a very busy social life as well. I have a lot of friends. You have to keep your social life going as well. So there's no time for anything else. And then I'm traveling. When I travel, I tend to like to meet a lot of new people, a lot of youngsters, a lot of established lawyers, and people are kind and courteous and invite you over for a meal, and you get to know people. Yeah.
Wow, sir. But I'll again ask you in a different manner, a little stretch of this question. Most of the times, lawyers have heard them saying, we have no time for social life, we have no time for family life, it's just work, work, work. How is it that your wife copes with your busy schedule? Parents obviously have gotten used to it because it's about having that particular partner who understands you best. How did you make sure that she understands everything and she takes care of your home and society life?
Yeah.
How do
So
you like it?
she is a dentist herself. Well, but she's taken a backseat in her career for the sake of the kids at the moment. Now she's resuming her career. But I did explain to her when we met the first time how lawyers are, because in Dubai, I used to sometimes spend 15 hours a day at a time because work had to be completed. By 6:30, our office is shut. 7 we used to leave, 6:30 I used to leave. But I would come back home and then I would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Work pressure is quite a bit, especially when you're a young lawyer trying to set your goals straight. Struggle is always going to be there. The forms of struggle are different. So she's been very kind, but we do manage to spend time at least on Saturdays and Sundays. Sundays I'm home and we try to have a meal together with my parents, or my parents come over and then we spend some time together.
Since we started this interview, you have talked about your dad. I would like to now ask about your dad and mom both, and how have they influenced your life and shaping your career and your own personal motivational factor? Because as I can understand, that definitely has come from grandparents and parents into you, because it is handed down. So how has your mom equally supported your career, and how has she helped you?
See, my mother is a retired school teacher, so she was very strict during our education. She was qualified to teach until 11th and 12th grade, but she voluntarily chose to teach only 4th standard children because they are naive and innocent. She liked spending her time. So she was very strict with our education. There was no two ways about it. We didn't have much of tuitions except for Hindi and Marathi at that point of time. But then in 8th standard, we had the option to take French. And then French was a popular language at that point of time for 3 years because Marathi was very difficult. Since the option was there, I chose French. And of course, then we had to go for tuitions because that's not a native language. But otherwise, she's been very strict with her upbringing. She was very particular. We were there on time. Of course, then once I turned 18, then things eased out. Then dad took control. But my parents are my inspiration. My mother and father both are my inspiration. They are my lifelines. We try and have lunch and dinner every day because my office is very close to where they stay. And one meal at least during the day helps. We speak every day. Weekends, we are definitely together. Either we come here for a meal or they come to my place and they stay over. Dad spends a lot of time with his granddaughter, so that keeps him happy. Both like to travel, but now age is there, so I've told them to try and cut down, or we go together if we can as a family. So the grandchildren also get spend time with the grandparents, because I unfortunately did not get an opportunity to spend time with my grandparents except my paternal grandmother. But that was also until 5th standard and she passed away. But with my mother's side parents, before the marriage, they passed away, unfortunately. So that time is very important. You see, as we grow older, we also have to remember our kids are growing. We don't realize that until we see them. And I try to spend as much as possible because in a few years, they'll all be independent.
So true. Like you said about yourself, after 18, I took control.
You realize what it is to be a parent only when you become a parent, Until then, you don't. So that's how life is.
So true, sir. So true. Also, keeping all this in mind, I would like to ask a little different question. If given a chance, what would you like to do differently about the whole career path which you have chosen? It's obviously very promising, but is there anything which you think that you would have done differently if you are given a chance to go back and redo that?
I'd love to work in the UK for a bit, but due to personal reasons, I could not continue there. The exposure levels are even better. Now I see a lot of people getting opportunities to go to the UK, especially seafarers who have done law. There are a lot of seafarers who have done law and they are in demand. Yeah. So once they decide not to sail anymore, they generally study law and they try and get into the profession. Not into advocacy as such practicing, but into various other positions of advisory. I would have loved to spend a year or two in UK, but due to personal reasons, I couldn't. Well, I have love for the armed forces, but unfortunately, due to certain reasons, I could not take it up. But I have no regrets. I'm very happy with where I am, what I am at the moment. No regrets at all.
You are anyways expanding your firm. I'm pretty sure that you will be going global.
The plan is to expand, and then, good people should also be promoted and made into junior partners, and then they should continue the legacy. That's the whole idea, but let's see how it goes.
That's you being absolutely humble, absolutely gracious, because it's not easy for owners to say that I'm willing to pass on my legacy to my juniors. It's not that absolutely easy.
You have to give back to the society as well, So that's why I told you, I always encourage first-gen lawyers. I mean, my present intern is also a first-gen lawyer. She's planning to go abroad, so I'm just helping her and advising her as and when time permits. Good guidance is always required. I got good guidance, which is why I can tell you that I've attributed here. And every successful lawyer should give back to the society within the organization. Young lawyers especially should be encouraged.
I really wish that all of us start thinking this in the same manner. Keeping that in mind, we have almost reached towards the end of our conversation. I would like to ask you about your opinions that you would like to share with youngsters, the young generation which is coming up and doing law. What kind of thought process they should inculcate in themselves? What has helped you, and how do you see that will help the next generation also to become more equipped to be a better person and to be a very good lawyer?
First is patience. I think today's younger generation should have a lot of patience. Nothing comes overnight. Overnight success is not measured. Something that comes too fast can go too fast. That's what one has to remember. Today, with technology, they have so much of exposure. Otherwise, we used to run to the Bombay High Court and get our books, photocopied all the judgments there, and run back to the office. Today, that is not necessary. You have everything online. Please utilize it. Please focus. Remove the element of fear and no confidence. There is always a place for someone. Secondly, please no shortcuts. Don't try to deceive, cheat. Be honest with the client. That honesty will run you a long way. If it is a bad case, you tell the clients it's a bad case, but tell them you'll do your best. You unnecessarily put them on a camel cart and then send them somewhere where they're not knowing. No client appreciates it. And it takes 2 minutes to spoil your reputation or a bad case. Yeah? So be honest about it. If it is not possible, you say it is not possible. You try to get an honest, amicable solution where it is commercially viable for the client as well. If you are able to be patient, if you're able to take off fear, you're able to do your research work, success will come to you. Hard work has to be there. Perseverance has to be there. Success will come. You move your finger first and then God will help you. Don't expect God to come and help you without taking any effort. The effort has to be there from you. And it will take time and patience and perseverance.
Thank you, sir, for such
My
amazing guidance. And I am pretty sure whosoever will see this interview will definitely get motivated, not only to have patience, but to do the research work and follow you at least, because you, I see as a person who is a mentor by heart, I guess. You just love to do that. And it's an amazing trait, sir. I really am amazed by knowing this. Thank you so much once again.
I'm humbled by your words. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being with us.